So who is the best tank in triangle strategy? In this video, I'm going to go over a few things and we're going to try to figure out who the best tank is and then also rank the tanks. Some of these units you might be surprised to see. The reason Lionel is in here is because he has pretty high health and pretty good defensive stats, and he has a lot of CC similar to a tank. And then Julio you might be surprised to see. But a New Game Plus, TP barrier gives him a passive 25% damage reduction, and he has decent durability. So he actually can tank as well. He's more of like an off tank. He's not necessarily a tank per se, but he is a tanky unit, so I threw him in here just for fun. Okay, so let's go over their stats first. So let's just start the match, just so I can cycle through just these units. I'm not going to be doing this mock battle, obviously. I'm just going to be doing this video here. So the criteria I'm going to be going over for tanks. How durable are they? Can they CC multiple foes? Is their CC consistent? What is the range of their CC? What else do they bring to the table aside from tanking? Can they reposition well? And it factor, which is just like intangible, abstract, what huge value thing they bring. So, okay. So let's start with Flan again. So extremely high physical defense, very low magical defense. So he has the standard tank weakness. Pretty good health. His strength is okay. He has pretty good mobility because of his high jump, and his 4 move is okay, but the high jump allows him to reposition. So his stats are pretty decent. He has pretty good defense as you'd expect. Lionel, he's more of like a medium durability unit that has CC, so he's kind of like an off tank. His jump and move are pretty low, but he can CC at range, so that's one big upside to him. Grama, she's an evasion tank. She has better magical defense than the other tanks and very low max HP. So when she's dodging, she's good, but when she gets hit, she's not. She does have high speed, pretty good accuracy, and decent damage. Her CC isn't as good as the other tanks, but she's a pretty good off tank. Then we have Picoletta. She's an evasion tank as well. You can see I have 2 evasion bracelets on her. She has higher speed. She can create a decoy and tank through the decoy and her evasion. Her defenses are decent. Her magical defense is better than physical, but her high evasion makes up for her medium physical defense, causing her to be surprisingly tanky. Then we have Eridor. I almost wanted to call him Lion Shield because I'm half asleep right now. We have Eridor. He has very low speed. He has the same movement as Lionel. His magical defense is lower. It's a little bit higher than Flanagan's, but his physical defense is insane. So he has the highest physical defense. And then we have Julio. And then his health is a little bit higher than average. And then we have Julio, whose defenses are decent. And his health is actually being boosted by an HP bracelet, but he has similar health to Eridor. He also has 5 move, and he's a battery. But as he batteries, he loses his tanking. But he can be an off tank for your backline as needed. So, okay. Let's get into these categories really quick. Okay, how durable are they? So in terms of raw durability, we're looking at how many hits can they take before dying and what they can do to survive taking hits. So it's not just like Eridor using King Shield is the highest durability out of all of these units because he takes no damage for sure. So honestly, it's probably going to go to Eridor for durability. Now for new game, when you don't have King Shield, he's pretty weak to magic, but he can still take a lot of hits. And most of these units are New Game Plus units. Actually, that's not true. So Julio can't tank until he's high level. So on a fresh save, he's not going to be tanking. Lionel can kind of tank a few hits here and there. He's not he's decent for fearing things at range early game, but he really starts to pop off late game. Grama and Flanagan you might not get until either New Game Plus or pretty far in. So this is going to be assuming New Game Plus because most of half of these units aren't even available. So you're not going to be tanking with them at all. Okay, so for just raw durability, Eridor has some of the best physical durability. Flanagan's is really good if you're facing an enemy. Grama and Picoletta can evasion tank, and then Julio can take reduced damage. So in terms of just tanking general damage with no abilities, I would say it goes to Julio because 25% damage reduction plus good bases is pretty good. Because these two can't evade magic, and they also don't have a damage reduction like him. Flanagan takes half damage from the front when getting hit by physical, which is really good in a formation or when you're like holding down a choke or something. But then Eridor also has King Shield. So if we're assuming this is new game plus late game, I would say it's Eridor because King Shield it just makes him invincible. It just straight up makes him invincible. So all right, let me retreat so I can place these now. So we went over the stats. So in terms of durability, I would say it's probably like Eridor, Flanagan, and this is versus physical versus magic. So Eridor has the best durability in general because of King Shield, so I'm going to say it goes to him for this one. For the other units, the evasion tanks are pretty good on ice, so they're like pretty dodgy. Lionel's probably last. Julio's probably like second last, and then like Flanagan. So like the evasion tanks and Flanagan are kind of fighting for like the top like 2 to 4 spots, and then I would say it goes to Eridor. Can they CC multiple foes? So Julio can't CC at all, so we can just ignore him for this one. Picoletta can CC in the form of decoys getting attacked, so she can theoretically CC multiple foes by having them attack a decoy. The higher level you go, it tends to get like killed in 1 to 2 hits. On lower difficulties, it's probably even better. It'll probably tank even more hits, but this is for hard mode, so potentially. Grama can, but it's short range. Eridor can, and it's pretty good range. And Flanagan, he doesn't have a multiple CC. He only has a single target. So for CCing multiple foes, I would say it's probably a tie between Eridor and Lionel. Lionel has Endless Speech, which is really good, and Golden Opportunity. However, Eridor can provoke for 1 TP, and it has absurd range. And then King Shield for 4. So like he can always provoke every turn. So I would say it goes to Eridor for CCing multiple foes. Is their CC consistent? So Eridor's provoke is 75. His King Shield is 100%. Grama's is 90%, up to 4 things near her. Flanagan's a single target 90%. Decoy, I would say, has like a 70% chance to draw enemies' attention, roughly speaking. Lionel CC, 100% at range, single target, 60% sleep / silence, endless speech, 100% tempt, golden opportunity, and then no CC. So whose is the most consistent? I would say it's a tie between these two because they're the only units that have straight up 100%. Lionel has 100% Fury success with an upgrade at range on single target, and then 100% tempt rate with golden opportunity. Eridor has 75% success rate with a single TP, like wide range provoke, and then he also has 100% success rate with King Shield. So it's probably going to go to one of these. I like probably Eridor again because like Grama's decent, like 90% provoke is good, but his provoke has a wider AoE, so it's going to be able to hit more things. It is less likely to succeed, like 90 versus 75%, but he also has King Shield, which is 100%, which is more consistent, and it makes him like straight up invincible, and he counterattacks everything that hits him in melee. So I would say it probably goes to Eridor here. Okay, so is their CC consistent? And then what is the range of their CC? This one's honestly, this is going to go to Eridor too, because he has the best range. Like Lionel's 100% tempt can hit 5 units, but Eridor's King Shield has a range of 1 to 2, or I'm sorry, 0 to 2. So it can hit quite a lot of enemies. Like he can CC, I don't know what the total max number would be. I think it'd be 12. But you can on average CC like 6 to 8 things if he's around enough enemies, and that wastes all of their turns. So that even though, you know, Endless Speech and Golden Opportunity are good, like compared to these other units, like Grama can only hit up to 4 things, Flanagan can only CC 1 thing. It goes to Eridor. Okay, what else do they bring to the table aside from tanking? So Julio is a battery that can tank with his 25% damage reduction, and he brings battery to the table. So obviously he's really good. He's like an off tank, like he's just like a tanky battery. Lionel has pretty hard CC. He can kind of tank a little bit. He has CC at range, which is nice, so he can be kind of safe and use it. Picoletta has decoy and item spam, which is decent, so she brings some damage to the table. Eridor, aside from tanking, he doesn't really bring anything to the table. He's just like really good at tanking and like dealing some chip damage, maybe pushing an enemy off a cliff. Grama, she has like Skyward Fist to like uppercut things on high ground and can kind of CC and deal like contribute to damage. She's like very similar to Eridor, except she does his job worse because she's not as consistent. And then Flanagan, he is actually extremely, like, if anyone gets it factor, like what they bring to the table aside from tanking, it's probably him. He has such good mobility. He can also quarter damage on like an ally, so like he can make something else tanky. So I would say this goes to Flanagan, to be honest, because he can. Instead of just making himself personally tanky, he can also make something else tanky, and he also has exceptional mobility and can kind of contribute to damage. He has like 8 move with aerial assaults. He has extreme jump. He has like Huette's jump stat 32 because he's on a bird. So I would say probably goes to Flanagan because he can make your team tanky. He allows death ball comp to be a thing. So I would say he gets this one. Can they reposition well? This definitely goes to Flanagan. And then probably to Grama for second, because she has better base, jump, and move and can run through enemies. So I would say these two, like Flanagan's number 1 for reposition because he has effectively 8 move for 1 TP, and then Grama has like better mobility than most of these units. And she can move through things, so that's repositioning is good in that, in that way. It factor, King Shield, and then Ramparts. I would say these two are tied for first. The it factor is quite ridiculous on both of them. Death Ball is insane, and spamming King Shield is insane. So compared to all these other units, as far as like tanking is concerned, either one of these can be your main tank. A lot of people say Groma on Ice is pretty good, but it's like invincibility is good and quarter damage is better. Like I would say those are just better because like for sure a King Shielded Eridor is going to be completely fine. You don't know that the evasion tanking will pop off. Sometimes enemies will still hit her. So I would say overall the best tank is Eridor, and then probably Flanagan for like main tanking. And then for off tanking, you have your evasion tanks with different utility. I would say Picoletta is a slightly better off tank, or a much better off tank than Grama, because she can spam Firestones or like Elemental Stones at 6 range, which is very strong. And then Julio and Lionel are great like utility off tanks. Well, Julio's like a utility off tank that batteries, and then Lionel is like an off tank that can shut down with crowd control. So if I had to rank all of these, I would say Eridor is definitely 1. Flanagan is 2. And then I would say Picoletta is slightly better than Grama at just like straight up tanking. They have similar evasion, but Picoletta can also create decoys, which will waste enemy turns. And then I would say goes Julio because of the 25% damage reduction, and then Lionel. So this is the order, starting from like first to last, going this way. So that's the order I'd just put the tanks in. I think that's pretty fair. If King Shield wasn't so good, it'd probably be, pretty close. But I would say he's just way better than Flanagan at tanking. But Flanagan is really good at opening up your team for the death ball comp, or just for making like another unit very tanky. So yeah, that's it for this one. If you like this video, definitely like and subscribe, and let me know what you think about the tanks. I know a lot of people like Grama. She has 420 health, which is a meme, which is nice. But yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.